Howdy, it's Tanya, your friendly music bird creature thing. This video is about Grooverider Slot Car Racing, or Slot Car Thunder if you're in the USA, a game made by King of the Jungle Games in 2003, a studio with a catalogue of 4 games, one of which being a Gallagher game, interestingly enough. Published in the US by Encore, known for publishing the first Torchlight and not much else interesting, and in the EU by Play It, also known for publishing Road Trip Adventure and Seek and Destroy, which are in that same Koro-Q series as Penny Raisers. A small world. As it says in the title, this game is about slot car racing, although it's not about thunder, with 20 tracks set all throughout rooms of some kind of gigantic and bourgeois mansion with 4 roof gardens and the famous Ce n'est pas une pipe picture and... wait, is that a recording studio? I'm starting to think these tracks might not all be set in the same house. Or apartment? There's a lot of views of skylines from up high. Anyway, have you ever played with Scalextric? You get a little selection of track parts you can use to make a tiny little oval which is the only thing you can fit in your house, and then you spend the next few hours catapulting your intricate and expensive 3D model of a classic racing car against various pieces of furniture and cats. Eventually your beautiful model becomes so dinged up it no longer works, and then you realise that if you want to play properly, you have to slow the car down for corners. Honestly, it's great fun, and it's kind of a shame that the kids don't want it so much anymore. And for me, well, my apartment's pretty small, but maybe someday I'll get my old pieces out of my grandparents' shed and see if they still work. But now you can play it without all the hassle! With a Grooverider you can do slot cars from the comfort of your own home and PS2. That means you can enjoy slotting and catapulting your car into the scenery without having to retrieve it from the butthole of a local dog. Plus you get to watch the crash physics, which, while not burnout, are funny. You can also switch lanes at will on the fly to dodge things and overtake. The control scheme is super accessible, just needing accelerate, brake, switch lanes left and right, use power up and drop power up. With tracks in the living room, kitchen, dining room, bedroom and roof garden, and ranging from going outside and through the vents of a New York apartment skyscraper where you can't even see the ground with how high up you are, a roof terrace with a window where you can see inside a swimming pool from outside the swimming pool through like a window, going through a literal fireplace, a bedroom with a giant aquarium, a bath over a bidet in a bathroom, and more. The tracks are indeed all very varied and memorable. Personally, I always remembered from my childhood taking the huge jump down the stairs in dining room 3, going under the bed in bedroom 1 and dodging the cooking influence in kitchen 2. Each track comes with certain obstacles like those cooking implements. You have sharp corners that you'll want to either slow down or visit an outside lane for or risk falling off. You've got items that block and fall onto one or more of the lanes. You've got holes in the track, barriers on certain lanes, jumps, and then there's the green and red fast and slow lane sections, the blue ones which magnetize you to the track, and the flippin' yellow ones which restrict you from switching, so you just have to be a passenger watching your car track forward to its inevitable demise, being reminded of your own life to which you just have to keep going just another 50 years until you take your last breath to be surely and slowly forgotten as your generation dies, then every generation that you knew you dies, and then the objects you craft slowly decay, the presents you leave fading until your name is uttered one final time in the universe. There are also switches which bring up barriers for others. Now, the nature of these tracks means that, technically, yes, you could memorize them all and go through blindfolded. But that won't account for the power-ups. You can deploy mines, shoot along lanes, boost forward, use a shield, jump over obstacles, and as an extra special, screw you, there's a power-up that locks everyone else to their current lane for a few seconds. either forcing them to slow down to a crawl or crash. Ouch. There's also a decent number of cars in 5 categories, which feel unique to handle. Though since there aren't any displayed stats, I couldn't tell you for sure what the physical differences are. But the Caterham looking cars feel like they have less grip than the Japanese tuners, and the Formula cars feel very different to the NASCARs. There's 20 in total, and they look alright for what they are. Some of the models are pretty cool. There's some reused ones and recolors, and the names are just as inexplicable as you'd expect. The Patriot V8 not being the NASCAR with a giant American flag all over it is rather funny, and the GT sport cars having ridiculous names like Exploder 72, Hextick V8 and Revolution is always a good time, though the Hextick not having a livery like the others is odd. The game admittedly does give kind of shovelware-y vibes with pretty basic fonts and in-race UI design that looks a bit silly, but it has its charm. The menu's psychedelic background and the logo add to it for sure. And the music is pretty great too, with not many, but good breakbeat and techno tracks. Since it's licensed, I can't really show it here aside from maybe tiny snippets, but you have the Dramatic Twins with Feeling Kinda Strange and Thinking About You, Dirty Waltzer by Soul of Man, a Glitter Ball by FC Kahuna, which was also in Need for Speed Underground, Six Space by ILS, which was also on Juiced and F1 2002, and Move and Fire by Gareth Johnson, my favourite when I was a child, which is sadly not available on Spotify. There's 3 speed classes for 3, 6 and 9 volts. And yes, 9 volts is where things start to get truly hectic and fast. You'll need quick reactions to be able to win races on the higher classes, because the AI aren't pushovers. In order to win all the championships and unlock everything, you're going to need a combination of memory, reaction times and skill. And even with my incredible gamer nerves, I had to try some of the championships multiple times to win. Sadly, there's never any more than 3 opponents. I can imagine the absolute carnage having any more would be like. As you race, your barge meter fills up. Throughout my youth, I couldn't figure out what it meant. I tried pressing every button. Nothing did anything. Until I replayed the game recently, and it just means that if you side shift into the side of another racer, you can spend a point of barge to knock them off the track. There's also 4 interesting challenges that you unlock as you progress, with an extra 3 tracks. One's a chase, where you use a charge to try and take down another car. Another one's a time trial along a track filled with mines, having to dodge and weave along them to beat the clock. It's really fun. I just wish there were more of them. One of those classic things that this game has is cheats. Now, the menu is in the options section, but it's locked off. Oh no! But you can just click it anyway, even though it's locked off. I guess it's a developer feature that was never turned off. Oops! You can use it to unlock everything immediately. Go invincible ghost mode. Or the most fun thing, alter the top speeds. And it really messes with the physics, because even though you might have set the speed at its lowest, the Formula cars only going at 14 speed units, they still drift through corners like crazy and will fall off the track almost all the time, even at such a slow speed, catapulting them much faster into the scenery than they were ever going in the first place. Or you could up the speed to crazy levels, going so fast, at least 400, that you can't react to anything anymore. But the grip seems to have increased in turn by a ridiculous amount, so the game just becomes a game of chicken with the barriers. And yes, there's split screen. And yes, the cheats carry over. It's like one of those fundamental childhood memories, playing this on stupid cheat mode with friends, just laughing our butts off as we catapult these cars all over the track. For something that scored pretty average reviews when it came out, you can have a lot of fun with Grooverider. No, it's not a masterpiece or an instant classic, but It is a fun PS2 racer you can sink a few hours into alone or with friends. The video's over now, so make sure to like, comment and subscribe and all that, but I just wanted to say a couple bits about the channel here. This is meant to be a positive channel, so I will be aiming to have as much fun as possible and find the fun in games that normally were reviewed badly. There's a lot of negativity surrounding racing games at the moment, and I want to provide just a little sphere of niceness. I'll talk about older games and indie games, mostly racing games with a few exceptions. I think my Jet Ion GP video was a bit negative for how much I actually really like the game. What I also want to talk about more is music. It's an absolute passion of mine, and I really want to delve deeply into music, but I'm still figuring out how to turn that into a video. This part of my channel is me practicing writing and public speaking and confidence, trying to improve on those things. But I will still, of course, be posting my music here too. There's an album coming up soon, which I really hope you'll love. It's been a long-running project. And, well, soon you'll see what it is. Anyway, this is Tanya signing off.